Hey guys, welcome back to our weekly devlog.
To start things off, thanks for your patience regarding the short hiatus we took. We've been squeezing work in between the couple of weeks. However, due to personal matters, it just wasn't realistic to post a video in the past few weeks. That being said, I do have some good news. Over the past 6 months, I've had to pick up part-time work on top of developing the game. I recently quit this job in order to focus completely on pushing the Rebellion out in this final stretch of development.
We are glad to finally showcase the Agacite armor set. This armor is made from a rare, lightweight ore and is designed for speed, but still provides protection against enemy assailants. This armor is the perfect choice for players who want mobility, but still need to maintain survivability.
As for me, the next element of the game I've been finishing up is the main menu. I've added in things like custom game options and chat rooms into the menus. The goal here is to add in every necessary piece to the main menu before we move on to public testing. Making sure the player can easily navigate the menus to get into the game is really important to us.
Next week, I will start work on new weapon type animations that will reveal at a later date. We have 2 more weapon types to reveal before launch to make the combat as interesting as possible while giving players options to equip their units.
As for me, I'm going to revisit all of the logic associated with the custom game lobby next week. This is going to lead into my next project, which is victory and defeat conditions, stat tracking, teams, and other big parts of the game mode and settings. Okay, now it's time for our first questions and answers segment. Our first question is from S-Shark. He is asking, will there be any wildlife that you have to kill or that will kill you? Example would be like an environmental hazard.
Now for the beginning, we're hoping to have just basic environmental hazards, but at some point we're hoping to have creatures in important areas like caves and other areas like that.
Maybe creatures might be guarding the ores, etc. Maybe there'll be some creatures guarding more magical elements of the game. We have tons of ideas. We only have so much time to implement them, however.
Mad Dog asks, are there any plans for any sort of espionage? For example, if a player manages to sneak to an enemy base, can he inflict any sort of damage from the inside?
Yeah, we do have plans for espionage and stuff like that. An example of that would be if the player does actually manage to sneak into the enemy base. He might be able to light the granary on fire with a torch, then sneak on over to the refinery, steal a couple of gold bars, and make his way back to his base for profit. Another question from S-Shark. If a commoner is completely killed, are they just eliminated from the game, or are they forced to work for the faction that destroyed them?
So currently for launch, once your town is destroyed, essentially you lose the game once your hero can't respawn at all. However, once we go further down the line after launch, we might make a game mode where the commoners are actually able to ally with the people that destroyed them at the beginning.
He also asks, to add on to that, can commoners turn and destroy the rebels and the Empire?
Actually, that's where this game becomes pretty interesting, because the commoners have the option to do whatever they want. They can attack other commoners, they can attack the rebels, they can trade with the Empire and then attack the Empire. They can really have the freedom to do whatever they want to do in the game. But you have to always manage that and keep an eye on your ambition as well. S-Shark asks, how long will the average game be?
We're shooting for like 20 to 30 minutes. However, there's always going to be outliers that are a little bit longer, maybe a lot longer. There's always going to be a couple that are a little bit shorter as well. So we play by ear, depending on the game-by-game basis.
He also asks, okay, cool. So that must mean that creating tools and armor must be fairly easy.
Creating weapons and armor is pretty simple. You can specify the exact amount of a piece of armor or weapon that you would want to create. In addition to this, it's pretty easy to equip it using the loadout system that we've created. It's like an RPG game. You just right-click on the item, and it will equip it automatically to the appropriate slot on the loadout. In addition to this, you could have preset loadouts. If that doesn't work for you, you can create loadouts on the fly as well, using the items that you created in-game. You can save these loadouts and use them throughout the game. You can even create these permanently later on. Alright, another question from S-Shark. Also, will there be an alpha for people in the Discord to help test?
We're actually planning on doing some larger scale testing in the near future. We're going to recruit our most avid followers and most active Discord users for that purpose as well.
Keep in mind, as we iron out all the most egregious bugs, we may or may not open the testing to more and more people. S-Shark again asks, most importantly, any plans for character customization in the game?
So right now we have tons of ideas for character customization. The problem is we don't have a lot of time. So we're hoping to do a lot of character customization down the line at some point, but unfortunately right now we're not planning on it for the launch. Alright, we have our last question from Mad Dog. Here's an interesting one for you. Probably not worth checking in the video, but it interests me nonetheless. Apparently Mad Dog is worth checking the video. How many soldiers can you see a skilled player realistically fighting off on his own without backup?
Well, this depends completely on the loadout of the player and the units being fought. I'd say at like the start of the game, a skilled player might be able to take on 3 to 4 units with a decent amount of challenge. However, for instance, if he puts on a full set of Bromnium armor, which is our heavy set of armor in the game, and a 2-handed sword, he might be able to easily cleave through 8 guardsmen with a basic loadout. Keep in mind, if a couple of them have pieces of heavy armor, this might change around the flow of the combat completely. So that's why we tend to keep it interesting with the gameplay sandbox we've been creating.
Alright guys, we appreciate you guys watching. That's all we have for today, so thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this content. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.